Everybody continue to pray.
Know that I'm unworthy to call upon your name. All my life I've been a sinner, and for that I am ashamed. But I heard that you would listen.
That's right.
Lord, I'm giving you my plea. And I'm too unworthy, Lord, to come to you. Could you please come down to me?
Yeah.
I know that there are others who could offer more than I. I promise you I'd understand if for me you had no time. I think I just hit bottom.
That's where you have to get.
And I'm looking up.
You have to get down to that point.
I'm
And then the Lord can work.
unworthy, Lord.
Up until then, you're just in the way.
Could you please come down?
That's right.
I guess I must be reaping from the seeds that I have sown.
Yeah,
Aren't you glad it don't work that way?
That's right. If we reap what we sow, we'd all be
Lord,
lost.
you owe me nothing.
Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden.
We haven't spoken for so long.
Now give you the rest.
But if you could spare some mercy, and Lord, I pledge my life to thee. I'm too unworthy, Lord, to come in. Could you please come down to me? I know that there are others who could offer more than I promise you I'd understand if for me you had no time. I think I just hit bottom,
I love to see people hit
and I'm
bottom.
looking up to see.
You don't hit bottom.
I'm too
You'll never reach out.
unworthy, Lord, to come in. Could you please come down? Awful thankful to be out here this morning. Nowhere else I'd rather be. Just one more time that I get to correspond with my brothers and sisters and maybe be able to reach out to a lost and dying world. And I ask that you continue to pray that
Yes.
the Lord will move in, because I can't do this on my own.
Nope.
Sure, I could be like some of those on TV or some place you go and I've got it all written out and know exactly what I'm going to say, but you know, I haven't been a preacher real long, but let me tell you, I'm not going to lie. There's been times where early on I would maybe sit and try to rehearse something. Maybe if I say this, that'll do it right there, and then I'll get to that point and it would almost kill me to try to say what I've got written down.
Yeah. Try it on your
Because when
own.
the Spirit of the Lord moves in, it takes me a whole different direction. And you know, we often say, we hope we can get ourselves out of the way.
Yeah.
Well, this morning I'm hoping that I can get myself out of the way, because I'm not the preacher this morning. I'm the vessel that gave himself to the Lord not too long ago to maybe be able to preach the word just a little bit. You know, I laid in bed last night and I had a little dream, and it won't mean much to some, and I couldn't get it off my mind. When I woke up, I had dreamed that I don't know where it was, but it was me and everybody that I went to high school with. It was everybody that I've ever known. And you know, I'm not from North Carolina, so I was obviously in Kentucky there. And we were all joking and having a good time. And then one of my friends that I haven't talked to in a long time, his name is Denny Hall. Denny started lining a song, and you know, that was, in that dream, it was kind of awkward because me and Denny have never spoken about church. We have never talked to each other about church at all, and I don't think he even goes to church. But he started lining there, the day is passing on. And you know, as soon as I heard it there, it got me right in the chest, brother. Yeah. I started to take lead of it there, and then as we kept singing, everybody there, it seemed like everybody knew that song.
Yeah.
And we all did. We sung it all the way through, and when it was done, everybody was laughing, smiling, having a good time. And I said, well, now I guess we're going to have somebody to preach. And then, you know,
Yeah.
that room got quiet, and every eye in that room was looking right at me.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, you know, there's not another preacher in this room.
Somebody's got to do it.
I didn't graduate with anybody else that I know of that is a preacher this morning. And when I said that, everybody in that room looked at me, and when I woke up, I felt pretty guilty. Because you see, I took on this thing up here. And you know, I've got a whole group of people that I know just like that who they can sing the songs, no doubt. And you know, there's a little bit of a testimony in every one of those songs.
That's right.
But there's no greater testimony than listen how you come to find the Lord. Listen, and there's no greater testimony than what's in these pages here. So I began to think to myself, Lord God, if you could bless me this morning when I go to church, Lord, set me on fire like you did in that dream. I think I'll be all right, dear Lord. Lord God, and you know, I started, and it seems like this is the perfect time for people to be blaming God for everything.
Yeah, it is. Troubles come.
You've got over in the Middle East a bunch of people killing each other. And listen, you know, in the name of religion, or so they say. I don't know what you want to call it, but they're beheading people who believe in Christ. They're killing people who don't even believe in Christ.
That's right. It don't matter to them.
And you know, it's spreading into the Western civilization here. And you can guarantee it's coming this way. But you know, I don't understand. When you turn on the news, you've got your snarky people there that want to say, oh, look what religion's doing. I know, look what man's doing, religion. You made religion. My Lord didn't make religion.
There is a pure and undefiled religion.
It's been man that has caused the problems since the beginning of time. It wasn't my Lord. Listen, you know, as far back as we can recall here, as far back as our history can go, the only account, the first accounts that we have of man and woman by name was Adam and Eve. And you know, my Lord, listen, and you count your blessings today because, listen, this is what my Lord did. He gave them a garden in the east of Eden there, a garden that had everything they would ever need, and had everything in that garden that they could ever want. But you see, you know, I was reading about the tools that Satan has, and you know, they named off all these things. They named off war, they named off disease, but they didn't even name off the most important and the strongest weapon he has. And you know, when Satan's up against me, you're looking at the best weapon that he has. Listen, he can speak to your heart just as quick as anything else, just as quick as a war. You see, when you've got war, who is it that starts a war? It's a man. And you know, some of them say it's over religion. It's not over any kind of faith that I know. I don't know where down the line that you twisted this to think that you've got to kill each other over land, or that you've got to kill each other because you're different, because that book doesn't support any of those claims. But you see, he gave them this big garden and gave them all these things. Just like me today, he gave me a life here. He gave me children. He gave me a wife. And you know, I could destroy those things. And I found that out it'd be easy for me to do the wrong things and mess all that up. But you see, It says here, and show this is the earliest account that I can see of Satan here in the form of a serpent speaking to Eve, talking about, you see, God gave them all this here. He gave them this big garden and all these things, but there was one thing that they were not to do, and that was that tree of life, not to eat of it there. Listen, you know, but that serpent came unto him, came unto Eve and said, oh woman, you shall not surely die. You see, she was told not to eat from that tree, and he said, for God doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And you know, she took that fruit there, and she even gave it to Adam there, and when they ate it, they knew evil. They knew that they were naked. You see, you know, we got our children running around here, and if you're ever at home with me, sometimes it could be a weird thing because my son, I don't think he really knows evil yet. He hasn't reached that age. Listen, because he can run around just naked all day long and not even think about it. And you know, I couldn't do that because I've reached the age where I know the differences and those things are shame. And there's going to be a day when he grows up where that evil is going to be really present to him. And you know, he's always running around fighting the air because he's a little superhero and things. And you know, he marvels over all these little comic book characters and all these heroes. But you know, there's going to be a day when Spider-Man's not going to save him. There's going to be a day when the only man that can save him put his hands out like this, and he took a few nails, and you know, his blood is spilled out there to cover a whole group, a whole generation upon generation of people, that if they were to look to him, that they shall not perish, but have everlasting life. You pick up a Marvel or DC comic and you tell me where a superhero there could even compare to the works of Jesus Christ, because you can. But you see, I think that's been the problem. He said, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods. And you know, I think that's been the problem for many generations. Oh, you know, God has given us so much here. And when they talk about people, it's one thing that everybody wants to do. They want to be healthy and they want to lose weight and they want to do all these things. And then you see that they'll tell you, well, the healthiest things you can eat, they're all natural. All these things that you can do, they're all natural. Natural is the best way. But the things that give you cancer, the things that statistically do this and that, a man's putting a little bit in the food to make it last a little longer. And you see,
get their hands in it.
Got food sitting out here in this world, and they ask, well, if there's a God, why do people go hungry? I want to ask you the same question. Why are the children out here getting hungry and not being able to eat and not having clean water? See, you listen now, we live in a world that replenishes itself and does all these miraculous things. The air that we breathe, it recycles itself. Listen, the water that we drink, it recycles itself. Listen, you know, God has given us so much, but people, I think they try to be as gods, even the kings back in this book, even the presidents of modern day, they want to try to be bigger than what they really are. But in the eyes of my Lord, the same Lord that so many people is trying to say isn't real, they're just about this big. Listen, if you want to be as of God, you think about, you take all the riches in the world, you can build the biggest mansion you want. Can you build a mansion as big as the earth? I don't think you can, and even if you could, what about the sun out there during the day that gives you your light? What about the moon that reflects the light off the sun to give you a little bit of light at the nighttime? Listen, you're never going to be God. No one is ever going to live to be God or as of God. When she ate that fruit, she learned of evil. She didn't learn how to be God, and she would never be God, and there's not another person who is ever going to be close. You can keep your religion today. You can keep it, because that's what's tearing a lot of things up. where in this point, nowhere that I can find in this book, and I don't know where in history that it has got twisted and turned the wrong way. Because none of this religion supports what's in this book. A personal relationship between you and the Father is what matters.
That's right. There's your truth.
I don't care if you're a woman and you shave all your hair off. Then you let religion go dog you over that. I don't care if you're a man who walks through the doors here and you've got tattoos that cover every inch of your body. There's some religions that will turn you away right there.
Yep. God's not looking at that.
Do you think that my Lord is looking at those things?
One thing that he's concerned
You
about.
take those people, the same people that hold that religion so dear, and you crucify them, and you put them up on a cross and stand in front of them. You think they're going to ask for your forgiveness there? No, they're going to, in their mind, they're going to think of how evil you are. But Jesus Christ up on a cross, being crucified for all the wrong reasons. But there was a plan there. But being crucified asked that the Father forgive them, for they know not what they do. And I hope that that same mercy is still alive today, because if it's not, we live in a world. We live in a world that's going straight to hell. And there's going to be a day, I really believe, that this religion stuff is going to take over. It's spreading like wildfire this morning. But I'm so glad that we can stick to the old-timey way. You see, I think that's the problem this morning. I think about it quite a bit. You see, we're very old-timey here. We don't really change anything. You know, the Spirit of the Lord, it doesn't need a big, beautiful building.
It doesn't need to be changed.
It doesn't need a mosque. It doesn't need some mega church. No, it don't need that at all. I stood in a little living room in a rental house out here in Pilot Mountain. I felt the Lord just as hard there as anywhere else I've ever been.
That's right.
But you know, I think during the years here they tried to add to the church. Add to this, add to that. Well, maybe if when they come in, we've got ushers that'll take them here and there. Maybe give you a little glass of water and a little mint. That'll make somebody come on. You know, maybe we could bring in the biggest band that's out here, and they can play the most beautiful music ever was, and maybe that'll keep people coming in. Or we can write down and sit and think about our sermons and the way that we're going to present to this world here, and then maybe that'll bring them in. If you have to depend on the material things of this world, and if you keep having to add onto the worship of the Lord, then I hate to tell you that this morning, but you're doing it wrong. That's not the way you do it. You see, how many people have been scared into coming up and doing this thing here and not have felt a thing in their heart. They've just been told you're going to hell if you don't come up here and maybe recite this little piece of paper that I got, or if you don't come up here and let me sprinkle a little something on you. You better be hoping that my Lord's sprinkling a little bit of that blood over your heart, because that's the only thing that's going to take you over into the glory land. And how somebody in this world can say that my Lord isn't real, oh, then your eyes are closed. Listen, you look at this world out here, you think about all the big, beautiful buildings that's all around. I think I heard Brother Elijah say it the best, being at the Biltmore there, and everybody marveling over how big and how beautiful it was. And I've been to the Biltmore. I know exactly what he's talking about. Up on that hill there, you can look out and you can see the mountains and the beauty of this world. Everybody marveling over this big building, and look at the picture that my Lord has painted out there. More important is that my Lord has created the most beautiful things in this world. But they don't even compare to what He has over in heaven's land.
That's right.
If you're marveling for the material things, if you're marveling for the riches, I'm going to a place where they're infinite and where my Lord is. You see, I've seen too many things in this world. I do not believe in my Lord, but I still fall short. You know, I can remember a time when, my grandfather there, I used to go everywhere with him. We went to visit his mother. And my family, Alzheimer's, it seems to be the thing that takes people out of this world. But we went to visit his mother there, and she had Alzheimer's. And you know, my grandfather, you don't see him sad very often. I've only seen him cry one time in my life, and I think that was when my grandmother died. But he sat there and he was talking to his mother. Could you imagine talking to your mother this morning? Does she not know who you are?
Yeah.
Oh, he would sit and talk to her, and he would tell her who she was, and a minute later he'd say, "Mommy, do you know who I am?" And she would look at him real weird and say, "I have no idea who you are." But you know, he started talking to her about church.
Yeah.
And he started talking to her. He said, "Mommy, I'm your son and I'm a preacher." He said, "I'm your son and I'm a preacher." But the only thing I think that she heard was, "I'm a preacher." Because somebody called her little caretaker down the road and said, "You know, Nellie, who's out there with you?" She said, "I don't know these people, but they're two preaching men." And I hadn't even spoken a word to her. And she said, "They're talking to me about the Lord, and that's all right. They can stay if they want to." But you know what's so funny to me? In a world that doesn't believe and that thinks that this isn't true, how that little woman, that little feeble woman, when you would talk to her there, you could tell her your name, and in a minute she would forget it. But if you mention Jesus Christ, she knows all about it. That's one thing that she didn't forget. That's one thing that when I was a lost sinner boy, sitting out amongst the crowd, when they would mention Jesus Christ, how it would break my heart in two. Listen, that's the kind of Lord I serve today. He's everywhere and He's in everything. You know, and when my grandmother died in this world, she was buried there, and in her hands she had a picture of me and her at my graduation. She had her little head buried in my chest, had her eyes closed, and was smiling. And I put that picture in her hand before they lowered her into the grave. And you know, I think about it so often. I think about, Lord, maybe she got to take that picture with her, because there's no doubt in my mind that she's in the glory land. But maybe she could take that picture with her and say, "Lord, this is my grandson. Will you remember him when that day comes?" Listen, but it's not up to that, it's up to me.
Right.
And it's up to what I'm doing right now. How wonderful it would be if you could send a word through the old saints of God up into heaven's land. Now, maybe you can put in a good word for me, but you know, that's not the way it works today. It's more simple than we make it out to be. And you see, I don't come from I guess you could call it the foothills here in North Carolina. I'm not used to the things around here. I am a stranger in this land. This is not the kind of place I was raised in. It really isn't. This wasn't something that maybe you would do on a Sunday. This was something, it was a custom. It was the way of life when I was growing up. That every Sunday you were at church. Whether you believed or not, they were in the church. And now, I wake up this morning and you know, one thing that everybody does, they like to check their little Facebooks and all that. I see people, they're going to do this and that today, but I hardly see any mentions of church. I hardly see any mentions of praising God. But you know, there's a lot of people in this world that doesn't know my Lord, but He knows all about you. But I pray that those people who do not know Him, that the day that you don't find out about Him isn't the last day. Because it will be too late then. I'm going to tell this and I'll just get out of the way and let Brandon come. You know, and I've told this before, and it's a little story that you talk about the innocence of these little children. And they're so important to us. But I was reading about the ways that things used to be in schools. You know, they used to have prayer in school. They used to have the 10 Commandments. They would say the Pledge of Allegiance, and it would say, it would have the word God in it, but you don't see that much anymore. You don't see that much anywhere anymore, but back then, that was the way it was. People praised God in every place that they went to. He wasn't taken out of anything. But you know, there was a little classroom there, and I don't know where it was located, but they had a bunch of unruly children there. They were smaller children. And you know, they had went through 2 teachers that year. The teachers just wouldn't stay there because these kids were so obnoxious and rude and mean. And so a man came and heard about the position, an old Christian man, and he said, he went to the principal, he said, I'd like to maybe take that job if you would give it to me. And that principal told him, he said, do you know what you're getting yourself into? You don't have much experience here, and these kids are going to eat you alive.
Yeah.
And you know, it said that man just prayed, lowered his head a little bit and prayed and said, you know what, we'll do a little trial basis. You can put me in there and we'll see. We'll see if I can manage, and if I can, I'll just move on along. And that principal said, okay, we'll see you Monday. And Monday comes around and he gets in to that classroom. You can imagine, you know, every time that you've taken a new job, the first day you walk in, you've got your head held high, you got your chest out, and you know that you're going to be able to handle it. You're going to have to set your example right then and there. Well, that's the way he walked into that room. I walked in there with amongst all those children, and before they could say a word to him, he said, all right, here's what we're going to do. He got up to the blackboard there and he said, we're going to write down rules. And you have to abide by these rules, and we're going to make up the punishment. He said, I'm going to let you make the rules. Well, one little boy in the back, the biggest boy in there, it said his name was Tommy. He stood up and he said, all right, the first thing you can't do is you can't steal. Well, that teacher said, that's all right then. He wrote that up there. And then they went on and on and on. And it said they had about 10 wrote up there on the board. And he said, okay, well, what should be the punishment? And back in these days, and I can even remember being real small when you spank children in school there. You know, he said, what should be the punishment? And those children said that, you know, if you get caught doing any of these things, that you have to take a few lashes across your back. You have to take 5. And that teacher, he said, okay, because he thought in his mind, none of these children want to be spanked. But then Tommy stood up again. He said, but you got to take your coat off. And all these kids, you know, you think about Sister B and the time that she was growing up. If you were caught when it's cold outside without a jacket on, you better be praying because she's going to whip you. And you know, that's probably the way it was back then. If it was cold outside, you didn't see a child walking around without a coat on. You can guarantee that they had those children with their coats on, and they were big coats. And he said, fine, because he thought to himself, they don't want to be whipped without those big coats on. You know, so a few days have went by, and Tommy comes into the classroom after the 3rd day, and you would have thought that was the most behaved class there was within those days. But Tommy comes into class, and he's mad, and he said, somebody has stolen my lunch. And that teacher looked at him, he said, are you sure? And these other kids in the classroom pointed to the smallest child in that room back in the back. His name was Timothy, is what this said. And they said, Timothy stole it, we seen him do it. And the teacher said, Timothy, did you do this here? And Timothy admitted to what he had done.
Yeah.
He said, so come on up here. Come on up here to the front of the class because you know your punishment. And Timothy, he gets up front and he says, well, can I keep my jacket on? And the teacher said, no, you know the rules. You're going to have to take that jacket off. And so he took it off there, and he had no shirt on underneath. And he was so skinny you could see his ribs sticking out, and you could see his backbone there. And when the teacher saw that, it broke his heart. But he knew what he had to do. He said, Timmy, where's your shirt? And he said, well, sir, not too long ago, my father, when he died, my mother hasn't been able to find work, and I only have one shirt in the days today that she was to wash my shirt. And you know, I was hungry. I stole that lunch because I was hungry, because she couldn't send me with any food today. And you know, that broke that teacher's heart. No doubt, there's still children like that today that go hungry. But that teacher, he said, you know the rules, I'm going to have to do it anyway. And you know, he reared back, and he had, it said it was like a switch almost. He reared back, he had bent little Timothy over and was going to lash him across his back. And before he could make that first swing, that big old accuser in the back, Tommy, he stood up and he said, wait a second, we've got all these rules. And you think about this world today, they've got all these rules. They try to restrict us like they know what this is all about. We've got got all these rules, but he said that there is nothing in those rules that said I can't take this punishment for him. And you know, Tommy got up from his desk and he walked up and put his arms around little Timothy. First took his jacket off and he said, "Teacher, you go right ahead and do whatever you got to do." And that teacher, he reared back and he swung a few times. And after a few times there, that rod broke on him, and it said the teacher just dropped his hands in his head and he cried a little bit. And when he opened his eyes and looked amongst that room, all the children there were crying. And you know, little Timothy, he fell to his knees there and he wrapped his arms around the legs of Tommy and he said, "Thank you, Tommy. What are you looking for today? You see, there was a time when my sin was going to beat me. It was up a lot harder than that right there, but my Lord, he knew that he could take that punishment for me, and he took lashes upon lashes. He took nails in his hands just to make sure that my sin wouldn't take me down into the eternal punishment there. What have you got this morning that's more precious? More precious than the love of my Lord. Because there's nothing in this world that's more important. Oh, how I would love to be able to fall upon my knees and lay down a crown. You can have it, dear Lord. I'm going to get out of the way here and let Brandon come and close it out. I love each and every one of you this morning, and I hope that if there's one here that doesn't know my Lord, you open up your heart a little bit and you won't be the way that I was for so long when the Lord first started working on me, and how I pushed him away so many times.
That's right.
And I always walked around pretending how strong I was. If people could only see how weak I was when that condemnation set in, how weak I was, I couldn't even stand upon my own feet.
Yep.
But it was all right. I fell on my knees.